Hello, everyone. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man. Today is a really good day because I have two students that are eager to share their journey and how they did their first deal, and hopefully you can actually learn from their actual experience. Just to do a little housekeeping before I bring those guys on. Hopefully you can see this, but if you want a free copy of the one-page contract that I offer, you can simply go to, just text the word contract to 313131. That's text contract to 3131 to get a free copy of the contract that I've used for 13 plus years. And I'm pretty sure these guys used a version of it. Check us out on Thursday, 7 p.m. Live free Flipinar. That's right. Seminar, webinar, had a baby and produced Flipinar. So you can register for that at flipinar.com. You'll be able to get your questions and answers. Questions answered on this actual live Flipinar with me. The other thing, if you need proof of funds, if you're trying to do deals with realtors, you want to submit offers, the only way they're going to take you serious is that you have proof of funds. So if you need those, just simply go to realpof.com. That's realpof.com. So back to looking at me, I hope. I really appreciate these guys coming back because we actually did this yesterday and I didn't record it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the guys on, Anthony and pronounce your name for him. Okay, you should be seeing them instead of me now. So, but I want to go ahead and introduce them. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty good.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
All right, awesome. Good. We're going to get right into it. I like to always start with introducing yourselves and where you all are located, first of all.
Atlanta, Georgia. That's where we're based at.
Okay. All right. It's two of y'all, and from what I know, from just what I already know, but from doing the unrecorded interview on yesterday, if you all could just share how you got involved in real estate, whether it's through just being a natural entrepreneur or just another way to make money or whatever your situation. Could you please share that with everyone?
All right. And yeah, I'm Anthony, and yes, it definitely being an entrepreneur was something I always was interested in and wanted to be, but just didn't know the avenue to do that. But for real estate, for me, it started about 10 years ago. I was interested in it, and I, was looking for someone to help me, coach me, and mentor me through the process. I'm from Chicago, so I was in Chicago at the time, but I didn't. I really couldn't find anyone that I connect to that can teach me the ropes without, having to have a license or sign up and be a real estate agent and things like that. But I did find someone, but he was mostly interested in me bird dogging for him. So I did that, and, he gave me a little fee for it. I think it was a $1,000 fee he gave me for that. But I still had that hunger and that desire to, basically be what he was, but just didn't know what steps to take, just didn't know the next step, and kind of let that fall to the wayside. Then I got a great paying job at the time, so I kind of didn't pay any more attention to that. And then through the years, fast forward, that job had, they said, I was top salesperson in my division and everything, but they decided they didn't want to be in Chicago anymore. So at that point, I had to make a choice. Did I want to, follow them to where they were going, or just start a new chapter? So then that's when I moved here to the Atlanta area, and like you said, we're in the Atlanta market. Being here, it was, slow start getting on my feet here, so I got here and signed up for another job, and I was happy to be working, but at the same time, I was not able to spend the time with my family that I wanted to spend. So I started looking for other ways, and I, thought about real estate again, and just started watching videos on YouTube looking for people, and that's why I found you, Tyrone. And started going through I think it's 150 videos you have now. I just started going through some of those on YouTube to get some know-how and to get some next steps. And then I started, dabbling a little bit and connecting with people and reaching out, especially to for sale signs and things like that, for sale by owner. And in doing that, I ran into some people that started to call me back. And at that point, I really didn't know what I was doing. So that's when I started sending out questions I had to several gurus that I found online. And, I know that you had to pay for the mentorship or for whatever course they were offering, but I just had a really quick question and some really quick questions and I sent out. And Tyrone, you were answering, even though you didn't know me, didn't sign up yet or anything like that, but you started answering the questions and then you helped me through that situation. I mean, it panned out differently, but after that, I saw how helpful you were. That's when I talked to you about coaching and told you my situation, and we worked out something. So was able to get that coaching going along. And then that's when I started getting more into real estate, looking more into it and understanding how to find deals, how to negotiate, talk to people. That learning and in the process of that and that learning phase I was going through, that's when, before I got my deal, before I got the first deal and everything, that's when I met Idris.
And I'm on the scene now. So a little backstory about me. My dad was actually, he's been in real estate for probably about 15 years. And, he has multiple properties. And growing up, me seeing all this, it never really dawned on me the potential of real estate. So I guess as I got a little older, I just started gravitating toward like construction and looks of homes and things like that. And that kind of led me into a higher level of interest. So one day I went back to Syracuse, New York, where I'm originally from, and I visited my dad. And he always has his channels on HGTV or, DIY or something like that. And it so happened to have a show on. And I just started watching the show. And I found myself, I think I spent a half a day just watching a marathon of one of the improvement shows. And it was a flipping show. And I'm just, checking out everything and seeing how they do things. And by the time I finished watching, all the shows, I'm like, man, I can really do this. So that's where my desire and hunger started, getting higher for wanting to just know a little bit more about real estate. And over time, man, I come to really love for real estate. So now we do this full time. I also left a 9-to-5, and I was making around 60 grand a year, comfortable and things like that. But once my health started deteriorating from the wear and tear of the job and the demands of the job, I started just reassessing my goals and what I wanted to do for the future. And not only that, that kind of changes your mindset about being around to have a family and be with my wife and just enjoy life. So I just reassessed everything and ended up going to a seminar. And I won't put the gurus on blast or anything like that. But of course, went in being motivated, paid like the $200 upfront fee to have access to the seminar, and go to the seminar. And of course, they're throwing out nuggets, they're throwing out little pointers and things like that. It was a 3-day seminar. I think it was 11 hours each day. So a lot of information, a lot of valuable information, I will say that. But of course, toward the end of the class, they pitched the $37,000 platinum membership plan for you to become a student of theirs and for them to walk you through deals, basically. And, of course, at the time I didn't have the money, but I thought the information that I received was extremely valuable, and some of the stuff they were giving me was very valid. But I just didn't have the means to go ahead. And as you know, Tyrone, you know, one deal can pretty much take care of whatever fees you pay for an advisor, a guru, if you will, or a mentor. But I guess at the time it just wasn't feasible for me. So I decided to try to do things on my own, and you know, just continue to learn a lot about things. And during that process, I actually left my job, and my wife, she also left her job, and we sat down and talked about it, and we just came up with a vision for you know, just starting our real estate business. And of course, my wife, she's very bright. One of the first things that came out of her mouth was, well, I think one of the things that we need to do, which I think is a necessity, is for one of us to get our real estate license. So my wife is actually a realtor now, and of course that plays into our business as well. But yeah, we're big faith people, so we kind of stepped out on faith. As Anthony said, he left his job, I left my job, and we actually do this full time, man. So our business is
great information, man. Everybody's journey to one point to another is different. So I guess let's get to the point, because it took you all a while, and the reason I like to do these versus people that do it fairly easy, fast. I don't know if the word easy is right, but fast, versus someone that stayed the course, even though it took several months. And if you all can share from the point that you say, hey, we're going to be a partnership, to the point that you found this first deal. We don't want to get into the deal. We'll get into that in a second. But if you could just go from your struggles to getting to this first potential deal that you ended up closing.
Okay. Yeah. So as we stated before, at this point, you know, we met, but we both had left our jobs already. So, you know, as they talk about the 4 Ps, I guess that was one of the Ps. Having left the job, we had that pressure to, you know, be able to produce for our family, and but we had the passion to do it. So we were still feeling through how to do everything and just going through the videos as mostly as the coach. So started the process of, you know, getting the yellow letters prepared, and trying to find networking events to go to, and putting out bandit signs, and just trying to get a process in place so that we can continue to move forward, you know, continuously with this process that'll keep producing houses for us. Because as you stated in one of the videos, the marketing is huge. So that's one of the things we definitely came to. But we got that. Tried to get that process going first. That's what we were doing. We set up, you know, we were meeting. It was just like we was, you know, we stopped working for a company, but we working for ourselves. So we would work. We met up frequently, put in the 8, sometimes 12 hours working together, trying to find motivated sellers, trying to find creative, strategic ways to write the yellow letters and things like that. So we, at this point, when we decided to, you know, join forces and create the company, it was all about building the process and going through the process. That's where we were.
Yep. And
okay. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I think it's just funny. Like I said, we're big faith guys, and we don't really think anything leading up to us being partners had happenstance. I think everything fell in place just right. So we actually met in a class that we both were part of, and it just so happened that Anthony mentioned in the class, and he was sitting right next to me when he did it. Didn't know each other or anything like that. He mentioned that.
You all didn't know each other at all?
No, didn't know each other at all.
No.
Yep. And in the class, he just kind of mentioned he was moving into the next phase of his life. And he said, yeah, I've recently started full-time in real estate, And, you know, I'm just, you know, putting my faith out there for that. And I said, really? Real estate? Okay. As of course, I like hunted him down and
yeah, he saw me across the parking lot. I mean, he said in the class, "I'm in real estate. I'm gonna talk to you about that later." But then, you know, I get that a lot. But so I was like, okay, well, we'll eventually hook up. You know, this class is a couple of weeks. But then he said, after class, I'm going to my car. I'm way on the parking lot, and he yelled, "Hey, where you going? Come here!" You know, so he was hungry.
Yeah, definitely hungry. And man, we just built from there. We ended up setting up a meeting down in Atlantic Station. If anybody's from Atlanta, they know where that is. And we just sat outside on a bench in the sun and just kind of talked about ourselves as far as future. And, you know, just try to build a relationship to see if what we had in mind for individual met, you know, maybe a partnership, maybe, you know, met the mesh of possibly being partners. So it worked out, man. And, man, we hit the ground running. And, you know, it has been an interesting ride. And I think earlier you asked about what the process was leading up to the deal, starting from when we developed the partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let me tell you, for all y'all out there who are thinking of getting into the business or you know, just having a lot of second thoughts and stuff like that, let me tell you this. Let me be honest. It's a lot of work. I'm sure you heard Tyrone say before, the blueprint is easy. The blueprint looks simple, but it's the work that takes to manifest a deal, to manifest a good relationship with other people. That takes work. You know what I mean? Look at a blueprint of a house. It looks easy looking at it. It looks simple. But as soon as you start putting the hammer to the nail, to the wood, that's a strenuous and it's a demanding process. So for us, man, it took us 7 months to get our first deal. It took us 7 months to close it. But it was worth it. You know what I mean?
And you're going to work hard anyway for somebody. You might as well work hard for yourself.
Might as well work hard for yourself.
You got to have that work ethic. Don't let anybody paint the picture that, you know, you're just going to get this get rich quick. And I mean, for some people, yes, they do have a deal that comes on fast. But even I've talked to someone who had a deal that came, you know, within their first month, and it was a huge deal. But then they didn't do another deal for about 18 months. So
yeah, see, that's similar to my story. Is that I did my first deal. Well, I can tell you, it was March of '03, but I didn't do the second deal. Well, I'm gonna say this: I started in the first week. I can't tell you the actual date, but when I started, but the first week of, well, what I consider when I started, when I first got my phone ringing. So that was like the first week of February, maybe late January, or first week of February. I got a deal and everything and closed it March 5th, 2003. I didn't do another deal until June. So, you know, 3 months had elapsed. You know, now it was consistent after that, but assuming that I didn't do that first deal in March, it would have literally took me 4 months to do my first deal. But again, it's different for everybody because everyone doesn't move at the same pace. Your resources ain't the same. The market that you live is not the same. So all that stuff factors in, you know, and just how you process information and how you deal with people is totally different. Yeah, it's a very simple process, but you know, some of it just flat out trial and error because of where you are in your personal perception of your market. Because I have to tone this down for a lot of students. Is don't get caught up into where you want to live. Don't get caught up in that. One of the first things that I learned in this business from a guy that's been doing it, I guess, over 50 years now, 40 years back then. Every house is a step up for somebody. Wherever you live right now, it's a Taj Mahal for some people, and for others, it's a dump. You see what I'm saying? So you can find any homeless people in Atlanta and find the regular's house in Atlanta and match them up, and they will be very happy.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't get caught up in that. A deal is a deal. I don't care if it's in a $60,000 neighborhood or a $6 million neighborhood. A deal is a deal, but it just has to be relative to what your buyers are willing to pay for in the condition that that property is in. Not to take over the interview, but I just want to expound on what you all were saying. So let's go into how did you all come across this deal?
Let's see. It was a list off Melissa data. We purchased a list, and our first list that we had, I think it was about maybe 400 addresses on that list.
Yeah.
400 addresses on that list. And what we did was we purchased a list. We purchased envelopes, and we hand wrote all the letters and sent them out, you know, and did all the work ourselves, you know what I mean? And got a buzz, man. We started getting calls, and you know, people were trying to see what we were talking about, and a lot of times, of course, you know, people were trying to overprice their distressed property, and of course the numbers didn't work, and we were just like, okay, these people are delusional. But finally we got a call from this young lady, and she said, I received your letter, and just trying to hear you guys out on what you want to offer. So I said, okay. So I asked some questions about the house, like the layout, what area it was in, what was square footage, and what about repairs for the house. And the backstory was how she grew up in. Mother passed, well, before her mother passed away, she needed to sign the house over to her in order to qualify for medical care. So once that happened, then the house went in her name, and she had it. I think she may have had a renter in there for a while, but after that, the house sat vacant for about 2 to 3 years. And in that time, the house just went in total disrepair. The roof was bad. Ceiling started falling in. Trying to think. The mold was on every wall in the house. And also the house was broken into, and they stole all the piping. So it was a
dump, but like you said, for somebody, they looked at it as a palace. But the other huge thing about the house that I thought would create a problem for it to sell was not only was it on a block that had a steep hill, it also had its own steep driveway mountainside. It was terrible. So, but I was so happy to have a house under contract, because that was one thing we talked about. We're not just going to be putting things under contract just to say we got something under contract. But at this point, yeah, honestly, I did feel like that. Like, wow, we got one under contract. I was happy about that.
Well, I still had a question. Don't skip over how you got to that point of getting it under the contract and how you negotiated the price with them.
I ain't gonna spill that.
No, I said don't skip over it. Go ahead and explain.
Oh, skip over. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually she called me. She called the business line, and after I asked all my series of questions, I said, well, when would be a good time for us to come out and see the property? And we ended up settling on the next day. So the next day I went out. Anthony was busy doing something else, and I went through, and her husband let me in, and we walked through the property, and probably was the second worst house we've seen. And when I saw the mold, I said, you know, I was in the house, I was just pointing it out. I kept playing on the mold, kept saying, well, you know, this mold is real bad. It's going to take a lot to fix it. As you know, Tyrone, mold is expensive.
It does.
So I just kept playing on that, and once I walked through the house, went outside and started, you know, just a brief kind of negotiation with her. I said, well, the best I can do. Well, she asked what I wanted to offer her. Oh, all the plumbing is gone, and the house being in disrepair, and as well as the mold. I said, probably can only do between 10 and 15 grand. And she said, okay, well, let me think about it. So end up, you know, going home. A couple of days later, she calls me back and she said, okay, well, it looks like I'm ready to sell. I said, okay. And she asked me what was I willing to offer for it. And I said, well, what we can do right now is offer 10 grand. She said, well, I thought I was going to be getting a little more. And I said, well, what did you have in mind? And she said 12.5. And of course, me being an investor, I always want to have, so I wanted us to settle on my final number. And I said, well, okay, the best we can do for our numbers to work is 12.1. So we ended up settling on $12,100. She said, okay, you got a deal. And Anthony went over, I think the next day, took one of the contracts that you offer and took that over there, and she signed it. And I don't even think we put any earnest money down.
No, we didn't put any earnest money down. She had sentimental connection to the house. She, like you said, she grew up in this house, and it was her mom's house. And although she wanted better for it, but it was the process to get there just wasn't realistic. So, ways. And what was funny was she said that for the house, and she had been getting letters for the house all the time, someone to try to buy it from her. But she said it was something unique about our letter,
about us, yeah.
Using your technique, something unique about our letter. And after she talked and met with us, it was something about us that made her say, yes, these are the people I want to connect with. And we just continue to build rapport with her right after that.
And
were you all doing the I don't know, were you all doing the large mailers?
Yes.
You started using the what I call the UPS and FedEx type large mailers.
Exactly.
We cut the video on and went step by step on setting all of that up.
Yeah, because I remember you texting me. You said, "Man, we only sent out," and it was a small number at that point. I think you out, and you said, "Man, we got a lot of calls on this." You said that works. I remember you texting me on that. So okay. So it came from that batch of marketing, yeah, because I'm sure you had already tried this one. Okay, all right. I had something I was going to say. They like the guy mentioned here, the people that are listening, they didn't put any earnest money down, and that's what I tell students and even non-students that contact me. They say, well, what if they want proof of funds? I'm like, it just doesn't work that way. People that are motivated to sell at the price that you're going to need to wholesale a house, they don't care about that. They just want you to solve their problem. They're not trying to vet you to see if you can actually solve their issue by taking this problem house off of them, or if they need money or whatever. They saw your sign, they gave you a price, you moved quickly, and boom, you had a deal in motion. So you got the property under contract. So what was the next thing that you guys did?
Okay, so once we got the property under contract, we immediately started our marketing flood. And that included the free marketing sites like Craigslist. And we also, Anthony had a brilliant idea, and I think he got that from you as well, to put one on Zillow. And Zillow, for those who are looking for free, valuable marketing tools, that gets you noticed, Zillow would probably be at the top of our list right now. Yeah. It connects from people who are looking to do deals, as well as looking for people who are trying to acquire properties, to agents who are looking to link up with people who are investors. I mean, the contacts that we got they're countless right now.
Right, and just as you said in one of the videos, we also, we keep all that information from everybody that call, and even some of the people that call, when we had the house under contract, they were calling and saying, well, I'm calling about this particular house, and we're like, well, we got it under contract, but what are you all? We talked to them a little bit, but even if if we got to a point where they knew we really couldn't do nothing with this one because they want to offer more or whatever, they still was like, okay, well, whatever you got, let me know whatever else you have. They were really hungry for
that's basically what Anthony is saying. Your deals will build your buyers list.
Yes.
Right.
Deals will build your buyers buyer's list because, as I say, I know people think I'm sarcastic when I say it, but it's not hard to give away money. So that's why you can start with no buyer's list. But if you find a great deal and you market it, like you say, just Zillow and Craigslist, if it's a deal, you're going to get tons of calls. It's just that simple. You can only sell it to one person, but the other, we'll just say 20 people call you. The other 19, you're gonna collect their information for future deals, their name, where else do they buy, what price range, the minimum number of bedrooms and baths, how many do they buy per month, per year, and so on. Before you know it, you have a buyer's list, 2 or 3 great deals, and you have enough buyers to feed anything that you pretty much find for most markets. But you always want to advertise your deals, even if you have a buyer, because people get in and out of the business. You know, so you always want to be marketing your deals, always.
Yep. So I guess so after we did our huge marketing push, Anthony also, and I think from the it was from Zillow that we actually got this one investor who came through to the property, wanted to do a walkthrough, and that's another thing. We got the keys to the house as well. We put in our contract that the seller would give us the right to enter the property when we wanted to get quotes and things like that. It was a marketing clause in the contract. So we ended up getting the keys, and we did private showing, almost as if. And we got this one guy who was an investor. He wasn't the one we ended up doing the deal with, but he ended up telling us about this group that meets every Thursday. And in the group were numbers of investors and people who were just maybe looking to put money toward a deal for, of course, a percentage back. Most people, and Anthony said, well, I think this is a good idea for us to go. So I couldn't make it that one time that he went, but he ended up going. And from that class, he ended up networking with a bunch of people that ended up basically bringing that property that we had to another investor who was a group. It was 2 guys. It was one guy on the money side, and then there was another guy on the contracting side. And they were big investors that come to find out. So they reached out to me one day, and we were actually going in the opposite direction of the property one day, and this guy calls me. He's a fast talker. Hey, yes, calling about the property that you got listed. And at the time, I think we listed the property. We started out listing it for 32, 8 something, and then wasn't getting a lot of traction, so we moved it down to 23,788. And that's when we got the call from him. And I think that's when you put it on Zillow, matter of fact, when we moved it to 23,788. But he, fast talking guy. Hey, I wanted to come check the property. Are you guys in the area? And I said, well, we're not in the area, but we can be there in about 20 minutes. So he's like, okay, just let me know. So we turn around and go back. He ends up sending his partner. His partner meets us there, and we do a walkthrough of the house. And then he comes back later. And it come to find out he was looking at another property. Mm-hmm. And so we do the walkthrough, and we finish the walkthrough, and he just says, okay, just letting us know what he thinks about the property. And of course, they were saying, it was ran down pretty much, and they were saying our price is a little too high. So we knew starting off that they weren't going to pay the price we were asking for, which is expected when you deal with investors. But they tried to do a little hardball. They threw out there like, yeah, we pretty much try to do deals, at about, 10 to 15. Around 13, and 15. Of course, that's not going to work for us, being that we had it under contract for 12/1. So we was like, okay, well, we think that is priced right, but okay. So talking after a while, we find out that these guys actually have 12 properties already in the area. So we knew that they were motivated buyers. And so anywho, we left them. A couple days later, they didn't respond. And in the meantime, we're getting calls in and offers on the property. which were real low ball offers, you know, of course, between 10 and 15,000. And we, of course, we didn't entertain those. But I took those offers and used them as leverage to the other investors that we just did the walkthrough with. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, you know, just calling to let you guys know that the property is available. We have multiple offers, but we saw that you guys were interested in the property, so we just didn't want to let this opportunity pass without you trying to get in on the action. So that turned to, okay, well, yeah, we're interested in the property. And he asked, okay, so I don't beat around the bush. What is the lowest offer you'll take? And I knew investors like this.
And we had already talked about this ourselves.
Already talked about it. What was going to be our absolute lowest that we were willing to go? That the lowest we would take is 19. So I put that out there. I said, okay, so we could let this property go. The lowest we'll go is 19 grand, which gave us a $6,900. It would give us a 6,900 fee for that deal, you know, which is close to 7. So, you know, like I said, we talked about it already, and we were in agreement that, you know, that would be a good spread for a deal like this. And he said, okay, well, let's get it closed. Let's go ahead and get it done. And then I think the next day they sent us all the information about the closing attorney and stuff like that. They were supposed to put the property in escrow for $1,000, but they didn't do it for some reason. Not sure. But so we were a little leery about that. Maybe we were getting into a contract with another wholesaler. But turns out, man, that they were legit.
It was just that they were just too busy because
way too busy.
Immediately after they sent over that the agreement and the directions for the lawyer and all that, they immediately started hounding us for more property.
Yeah.
And they were just, you know, beating down the door. Come on, what else you got? What else you got? Where else you get? You know, he talked fast and everything, but they also acquired a lot more properties through our process of, you know, when they were doing come back and everything like that. They acquired more property. So we found out that they are huge buyers in the area. We found out they owned 2 apartment complexes around the corner, and it was like, come on, Flip Brothers, what do you got? Give me what you got. You know, they call us Flip Brothers, and they were just beating down the door for more and more properties.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I think you all had an issue with the lady had some back taxes or water lien there that she had already factored into the deal. I think is how you explained it, but you all didn't know it at the time, so you thought you might have to eat $2 grand of that or something. But if you could explain that, because it took longer than what it should have taken.
She was a little. She kept pushing that one particular number, 12.5. Of course, Dreeks pushed back and got 12.1, but she kept pushing 12.5. And then we did a little bit, you know, after doing some homework, finding out, you know, especially with the title search, that she owed $2,500 for the water, and then $480 for the taxes, and $280 for the taxes or something like that, and then $400 for trash. It was a lot of money owed. And she had mentioned that earlier in our conversations.
Okay.
But you can tell that, you know, after everything settled down, you can tell that she just wanted, you know, to be freed of those fees and taxes that were building up on her, but still walk away with about 10 grand for herself. So we, and Drees had, like I said, we altered the contract a little bit, and Drees put in there that the buyer would pay for anything that came up due on the house. So he just signed that without even looking at it. But then when we saw something came up on the house, then he's like, okay, we need to talk a little bit. And he basically said, can you guys cover that, or go back to her and see if she'll cover it? And we was, you know, a little up in the air about it at first, but we was to her and talk to her and see what she is. And when we called her and spelled out everything and whatever all the numbers looked like, she was totally like, okay.
What's the number going to be?
Like, what's my final number? And
I said, well, we'll give you 10 grand.
And you said, we'll cover the rest.
We'll cover the rest.
But actually the buyers covered the rest.
The buyers covered the tax bill and the waste bill, the water bill.
Water bill.
Yeah.
Which was a total $2,500 plus the 400 plus the 300. It was
it was almost $4,000 basically for everything, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
All right. Well, that's what's up. You all got your clean 6,900. So which it took you a minute to do that, but if you like I was, because I'm an entrepreneur, so I had failed at so many things before then. Mine was only 2,500, my first deal. I think the second deal was $5,000, but because it was more important. Obviously, the money was great, but it was more important that I saw that the process worked.
yes, right.
Everything. So it was like $250 for me. You know what I'm saying? $250,000. Because the process worked, and I know it was something I can repeat. So I'm saying that to ask you all, how did it feel leaving the attorney's office or the title company, wherever you all closed the deal? How did it feel after you actually had closed the deal, check in hand? Well, also explain how smooth the transaction went as far as the closing or whatever. I thought that was interesting on how you all said the lawyer handled the closing with the seller and the buyer.
Elaborate on the closing, or because I got something else to say after that. But you can tell about the closing because you say it a little better than I do.
I disagree, but the process for the closing was that part was simple. We had the closing date and everything set. It got moved once, just by a day or two, just because they had more closings to do. But the process for the closing was very smooth. We got the information. We talked to the lawyer. We told the lawyer, just to have everything set up, and we would talk to our buyer and have her to arrive and meet us there. We got to the table. The lawyer was great, actually. You could tell that he had done this many, many, many times before. He knew very well how to, explain, what was going on. He showed the seller, what the total price that she asked for was, what the fee was that she agreed to pay on that water bill, and what her final take home was going to be. He just directed her attention through the HUD statement like that, and she was fine. And her next thing was like, pretty much was, where do I sign? Our fee was in there, and that was totally to her. And
at the end, he also kind of, the way he gave us our check and our paperwork, he said, okay, so you just sign here, ma'am, and then here, this is for you guys. This is all your records and all your information, fellas. And he just kind of slid us the check to the side, kind of just real smooth and not really drawing attention to it. And it was really awesome. He stayed looking at her while he did it.
And he said that he was like, oh, here are those forms. Like, you guys, I know you guys usually get these forms. Here are those forms for you guys that you requested. And he basically just, kept showing her where to sign and what to do. But I like the way he directed her attention through the HUD statement. He just told her, what the final price was, what the bill was that she had to pay out of it, and what she's going to take home. She was happy with that. And then you tell them about the cake.
Yeah, and also my mom, she threw in an extra incentive. She actually baked a cake for our closing, man.
Wow.
And kind of just, lighten the mood of the office.
It really lightened the mood of the whole office.
Yeah. Everybody was just like, wow, that is awesome. Tell your mom we said thank you very much.
Yeah, everyone was scrambling for plates and everything like that. And I thought it was going to be like strictly business, and when they broke out that cake, everything changed.
And it was right after I decided to make a health adjustment and start eating better. She wanted to go ahead and make the cake for the closing.
Yeah.
So of course I was conflicted, and I had to take the first slice because you don't want to bring up any type of food somewhere and not be the first to take a bite because they think you're trying to do something to them. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of think like that sometimes, but it just brought a heightened heightened atmosphere of comfort to the closing. It was awesome. But to kind of get back to the journey getting to the closing table and how it all happened, our overall thing, it was tedious, it was trying. And then not only that, but we actually went over the 30 days on the original contract. But the fact that we built a great rapport with the seller, she was willing and was more than happy to sign another contract to extend another 30 days with us. So that was an awesome thing, and it just spoke volumes to me and him about how we're always supposed to have the interest of whoever we're servicing. Make sure we keep that in mind and we're cognizant of that, because you can affect people in a lot of different ways in real estate, but you always want to make sure that you maintain a great relationship, because you never know. You might get a referral from her. Even though you're buying her house and you may be done with her, per se, she may refer to one of her family members or one of her friends or something like that. So as part of our business model, we try to make sure that we keep a great relationship to whoever we're servicing.
Whoever we're serving. She said that, you know, it was something that stood out about your letter to me. So, that's what made me call you. But then when I met you guys, I just felt really comfortable and safe. She's like, I get these all the time, and I have been getting them for years. And then even after the closing, after the sale, she got her check. And, a couple of days later, we sent her a thank you card with just a Starbucks gift card in it to buy her a cup of coffee or whatever. And I wrote her a little thank you letter, and also, let her know, if you have friends or family that, need solutions to their housing property situation, give us a call,
Yeah. So it's just something that we...
That's what's happening right now, man. Okay. Yeah. Something I need to employ on my end. Okay, that's some real customer service. But, deal closed, check in hand, cashed, I'm sure. What's next for, they call you the Flip Brothers?
Yeah, that's what we have named our company that we're going to be getting licensed this week. But that's what they call us when they see us. And usually when we talk to people, they are used to talking to us together. But yeah, that's the name they gave. That's the nickname or whatever you want to call it. But we do have a lot. Matter of fact, we had a conversation with somebody last night who's asking, can we help them out in New Jersey? Yeah, which we will be talking to you about a little bit. But we're getting a lot of action now, and even those sellers, they have another property around the corner from where we sold them one that they were trying to get that they couldn't, and it was like, hey, bring me that property. Let's do business on that one. We even had a lady that told us, I need you to find me an income property. I want to, have an income property. And she's like, I'm going to go start looking as well. And if I find one, I'll bring it to you so you can sell it to me.
Right. That we thought that was crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's what's happening there, man. They call you. They gave you a nickname. The cake wholesalers.
Wholesalers.
No, the cake wholesaler. You brought a cake to the clothing.
Right, a cake.
Hey, I'll take it, man. That's awesome. We need to trademark that.
Man, I really appreciate, man, you all sharing your information. You all had a journey that hopefully can help others understand that, hey, it's real, but, it does take work. It does take work. I had a young lady, and I mentioned this on a Flipinar the other day, emailed me. She was on email list, and I sent out something, maybe a new video or something, and she was like, she felt I hustled her because we only talked 3 times. But if you don't call me, I'm not going to call you because I can only assume everything is okay. I'm not a cheerleader. I say I explained to her is that I'm just like a doctor. I don't know you're sick unless you let me know you're sick or you're not feeling well. So anyway, so I hated she felt that way, but I'm not going to. That's just not how it's going to work. Or what I can't motivate. Your motivation has to come from wherever. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you things that get you motivated as far as, hey, you're going in the right direction, or one of my experiences, whatever. But the motivation is something that has to be generated from you as a person. And then more importantly, as you all have mentioned several times, is the work ethic. you know, putting the actual work in to do this, and knowing that, you know, it's simple, and it sounds as simple as it sounds, as simple as it is, but that doesn't mean easy. That's what I want to say. But it's worth it. It's just worth it. It's just life-changing money. You know, doing deals of that magnitude where you're picking up several thousand dollars per deal, and it's not like you can do this weekly. You know, it took you some minutes to do your first one, but that's more just figuring out what works for you all, your market and so on. But weekly, as one of my friends, guy I just recently met that helps me with a lot of stuff online. He said his mom, he got his mom start her own business, make a couple grand a week, and she said it's like tax return season every week. You know, getting your tax return every week, as most people can relate to or whatever. So, but anyway, Matt, as I said, I appreciate you guys showing up. Anything else you want to add before we close this out?
Go ahead. I both got something. But.
I don't have much. I was just going to say, yes, you're right. It is definitely, you have to have the desire to work for it, because no one is going to bring it to you. You have to do it. Support, you're there to give, you know, answers. I mean, you answer all my questions and all my calls, so I don't know, maybe you were too busy with me to help her. I don't know, but I never had a problem with reaching out to you.
I want to do this. He hadn't called me. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I call you. I reach out. You always reply. Like I said, you were replying to me before there was any kind of coaching feed session or anything like that. So I went with you, but it is work that you have to put in. You have to be willing to do the work for yourself. No one is going to make you do it. No one is going to, you know, do it for you. You have to have that desire to do it. And you put the work in, it's definitely rewarding. It's definitely rewarding to be your own boss. It's definitely rewarding to, you know, make your own decisions, and the sky's the limit on how much you can make. It's just a matter of how much work you want to put in. Yeah. And one last thing I want to say is as far as the assignment fee, that, aside from us getting it, yeah, it was totally irrelevant at the table. That was one of my concerns. Well, what if she sees this, and what if they see this? When we got to the table and everybody was getting what they told they would be getting, nobody cared.
Yeah. And you've said that a bunch of times to us, that, you know, it really doesn't matter. You know, at the end of the day, both parties are getting what they want. And ultimately, we're just looking for that check as well. So that it really didn't play much of a factor in the whole process. But I actually have two things I want to say. One thing is, find your purpose in why you're doing real estate.
Definitely.
If you're not driven, the only thing that's going to keep you going is trying to get that next check, the next check. If you don't set goals, you're just going to keep getting money, and the more money you get, you're going to keep thinking, well, I got to get more money. So if you don't set goals for yourself and actually reach a goal, you'll be working for nothing. See, my purpose and Anthony's purpose, to build a better life for our family, and also to be able to minister to other people that may not be able to maybe get into homes the traditional way and stuff like that. That's ultimately our goal, is to be able to help others experience being homeowners and things like that. So,
and also my wife has a thing that she does, where she helps, you know, women and women's shelters and things like that. So that's another part of my purpose, to help her with that. But
yeah, so that was my one point. My second point is, we didn't mention this earlier, but we put down zero money for this deal. We paid no money for this property, and we ended up making almost $7 grand off this deal. So you do not need money. You do not. All it is you need to have important relationships. As long as you have those relationships, you'll be able to do deals with anybody, anywhere, any place. So that's all I got.
That's some valuable info, man. Some valuable info. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time out to do this. Just do a little house cleaning here before you go. Again, if you want a copy of my one-page contract, I hope you can see the screen. But if you want a one-page copy of the one-page contract, text the word contract to 313131. Don't forget about the live webinars on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can register at flippanard.com. Seminar and webinar had a baby produced for Flippanard. It's flippanard.com. You can register there. I will be answering questions there live, along with some great content each week fresh. And if you need proof of funds, if you're dealing with realtors, realpof.com, you can get proof of funds to get taken serious, get more of your offers accepted. That's the only way they will actually deal with you. So again, guys, I really appreciate you guys doing what you have done for me by sharing this with others. And you actually did a repeat, because I thought I was recording this yesterday and didn't, but I think this one actually went better. So so again, appreciate you guys, man. And hey, I'll be talking to you, I guess, later on today. Let's keep banging, man.
Absolutely, man.
All right, peace.